What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my podcast. I'm your favorite Gambian Ibrahima, and today I'm joined by the legendary James Toon, the pride of.
It's your boy JT. What is going on, Ibrahim, my brother? How are you?
Oh mate, honestly, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just fucking excited, mate, for UFC 272 and UFC 274, mate. Honestly, it's gonna be absolutely sensational, mate. Honestly,
hmm
what are your thoughts when you heard that Colby Covington is gonna be fighting Jorge Masvidal? What were you thinking? What was going on in your head?
Well, there were spines. There were spines tingling, rather. There was shivers tingling up and down my spine when I heard that because I've been looking at Masvidal. He's been touted to fight Jake Paul. He's been touted to fight McGregor. He's been touted to fight numerous weight divisions, but we haven't seen him in a while. Obviously, since getting absolutely brutally knocked out by Kamaru Usman, pound for pound king Kamaru Usman. Sorry, I misspoke there. But since then, nobody's known how he's going to respond. You know, is he going to be someone who, once he's had his lights shut off, it's very easy for that to happen again? Is he someone who's going to come back bigger and better than ever? And I couldn't think of a better matchup. Two people who are probably at the top of the welterweight game under Kamaru Usman. I don't know if you would agree with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So two of the top. Obviously couldn't quite beat Kamaru, but a massive rivalry. I mean, two of the greatest promotional names in the sport, two of the greatest people on the mic in the sport. And if you compare it to the heavyweight championship fight between Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou, I mean, let's be honest, they could put a glass eye to sleep with those press conferences, with the PR work. That was absolutely terrible, embarrassing in terms of self-promotion. They didn't do anything to sell the fight. The only one that did was the coach, a former coach of Ngannou, current coach again, who released that video. That was it. I mean, you compare that to what these two are already
Well,
doing. Um,
yeah, but would you say what happened in the press conference between Sarongan and Francis Ngannou, like obviously the trash talking and the fact that Francis Ngannou actually brings in a lot of pay-per-views as well. You know what I mean? Let's be honest here. The fight was probably sold even before the UFC promoted it. Don't you think that makes sense?
I never think a fight is sold before the UFC promotes it, and it may have been sold to a certain degree, but I think when those pay per view figures come out and you compare it to a lot of other fights that they've put on, I think you'll see, because look, there's a fight being sold could be many different numbers. It could be a McGregor versus Poirier 1.8 million. It could be a UFC 200 where you get Lesnar and all these other dons 1 million. It could be a 600,000er. You know, the difference in selling. I don't think it would be much more than a 500, 600, because I think it may have sold it to, look, the hardcores, the people that are fans of the sport generally. They will know about the fight and they'll want to watch the fight just because of the two names in it. But for the casual, is that really enticing the casual?
Mhm.
You know, without any flashy
Uh,
press conferences, without coming out and talking to each other.
yeah, honestly, you make a great point. To be honest, you're correct actually. Because there's not real, you know what I mean, in-depth promotion that they would have done. For example, if McGregor would have been fighting. So I'm slightly confused with the UFC. Maybe this might have to do with the fact that Francis Ngannou and the UFC president Dana White, probably got into a little bit of a disagreement with regard to like UFC fighter pay. I'm pretty sure that's the problem between them. And Francis Ngannou earlier, a couple of months back, had mentioned that he probably might leave the UFC after UFC 270 against Sharon Gan. But honestly, there might be different factors, to be honest, that probably led to a lack of proper promotion by the UFC. But anyways,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, more like James Toon. Uh, so honestly,
Yeah, but
that's
yeah, but
all. That's
a
all
little bit of
amazing, to be honest. But I
responsibility has to
think
go to the fighters as well, doesn't it?
No, but I think the promotion should have been doing more. To be honest, yes, the fighters. Some fighters don't have the personality to promote fights. I mean, McGregor is a fighter who can promote fights. Colby Covington, Masvidal, Francis Ngannou is not one of like, people
Well,
who speak a lot. To be honest,
well,
not one
that's
the
what I'm
kind of
saying though.
person
But
who
if
goes out there. Yeah,
if you're
go
not
on.
one of those people, yeah, no, I know what you're saying. He's not one of those. I mean, English isn't his first language. He's learning. He's become very good at English over the years, from what he was. But he's just someone there that's there to fight, and he'll let his fists do the promoting, as a phrase to say. But you're never gonna really attract the casuals without some sort of promotional value. You're never really going to reach the dizzy height. I mean, if you compare it, the one we are talking about, Masvidal versus Covington. I mean, come on, man. You've already got one guy calling up the other guy's ex-wife, saying he's a shit for dead father. I mean, some you could say is crossing the line. I mean, I don't know what you think on that.
Yeah,
Uh, do you think he's gone too far
yeah.
with that?
Honestly, I think Colby Covington went too far. So instead of them actually going out promoting the fight, naturally the fight has actually promoted itself, if that makes sense, right? And Colby Chaos Covington had actually taken a picture with Masvidal's ex-missus, right? And obviously he was trying to, obviously he took a picture and posted it on Instagram trying to tell people why he thinks that the game bred Jorge Masvidal is such a terrible father who's not present in his kids' lives and all of that, man. That's like proper beef right there, bro. Like I'm talking about that's a fight promoting itself
Yeah.
naturally. And honestly, mate, it's just something that I'm looking forward to, mate. Honestly, really am honest. I don't know how it's gonna go, but obviously, Colby Chaos Covington, his presence, his sort of like presence throughout mixed martial arts. Most of his fights took place in the UFC. Obviously, he's got a record of like he's had sort of like he's had 18 MMA fights overall with 16 wins and just 3 losses, right? And Jorge Masvidal, the dude has been around for a long time, made his debut all the way back in 2008, and he's fought in so many different promotions. And overall, he's had about 40, 40 to 50 fights, and his record at the moment is 35 wins and 15 losses, which is awful in comparison to Colby Covington's record. But what is your opinion with regard to who do you reckon would be your favorite? Who's your favorite essentially going into the fight? Is it Colby Covington
Well,
or Jorge Masvidal?
Well, that record you touched on there for Masvidal, I think it's a unique record in a way because he was someone who, if you listen to a lot of people in the know, and if you just watch back in the earlier years, he was someone with such great potential but didn't have the desire for the game, didn't care about the game. You'd see these videos of him like having a piss up a few weeks leading into a fight, and then it's messing up with his weight, and he's basically just lying to people, being extremely unprofessional. And then he came on himself. I'm pretty sure it was very close to the Darren Till fight he had, and he was coming forward, and he was like, well, I went on this reality TV show and I was on an island. There was no social media, there was no phones, there was none of that. And then ever since then, he just suddenly started focusing up. He started taking everything serious, and that's when he started making his rise. That's when he started really building traction as a name in the sport. That's when he started becoming successful and climbing that ladder. So I think, in a way, it is a bit harsh to just compare the two based on numbers on record because, like you say, Covington, someone who took it seriously earlier on, didn't pick up so many losses. um but I think Covington is going into it the favorite. I think the main reason is there's previously bias. There is previously bias. People, no matter what you say, you're inherently biased to what you've just seen. And what we just saw, we have Masvidal going in against Usman and getting knocked the hell out. One of the most brutal knockouts of the year. I mean, the connection and with the
Totally,
straight
mate.
right, and then you just
Absolutely.
see the saliva. Oh my god.
Just fly
Um,
away, dude. Out cold, honestly. And you made a great point, to be honest. And K Kamaru Usman, at this moment, if you look at his previous title defenses against obviously Colby Covington and against, Masvidal, you can see that obviously. I'm not saying because MMA maths naturally doesn't make sense. Just because this person did well against this other person doesn't equate to, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
Covington beating Masvidal. But if you look at
Styles
Colby
make
Covington's
matchups.
performances against Usman, exactly, styles do make matchups, and that Colby Covington's performances against Kamaru Usman was just really good. First fight, amazing, back in UFC, back at UFC 245 in 2019, and the second fight as well, just recently, was sensational. But Masvidal, on the other hand, got knocked the fuck out. He hasn't won a fight since his fight against Ben Askren back in 2019. I can't remember. Oh wait, well against Nate Diaz, excuse me, he's won a fight against Nate Diaz. But come on, Nate Diaz, is slightly a little bit washed out to be honest. But anyways, talking about that, um, going into the fight, obviously we've talked about the favorite between Masvidal and Covington, right? So how do you reckon it's gonna go in a sense? Do you reckon Colby Covington is gonna work more on his striking, or do you reckon he's just gonna go out there and just wrestle him totally? What do you reckon?
Well, I mean that's kind of what people would expect, isn't it? They'd expect him to go in and try and out wrestle him. You got to imagine as well, though. These guys train together. Well, used to be very close training partners. Now they still know a lot of people and train with a lot of people in common. So whether
Hmm.
whether Masvidal would be switched on to that game plan and Colby Covington would have to switch it up, you don't know, because when people work together in such close proximities, you get to you get to grips, you get used to someone's preferred style, you get used to the way someone fights. So is he going to try and pull a Francis Ngannou and just completely switch it up last second, go left ball, something nobody expects to happen? I I think you'll probably see him stand on the feet for a little bit because he can strike. Covington can strike. Let's make no two ways about it. But I think he will. I think he will probably start trying to go for the takedown in the first round. But it depends. I think we kind of know what Covington we're gonna get, but we don't know what Masvidal we're gonna get. So depending on
That's
the
true,
the
to be
type of
honest.
resistance Masvidal puts on, I think that will determine whether he goes down quickly. What about yourself?
So overall, yeah, I probably think that Colby Covington is going to throw more punches than people would expect, to be honest, because generally it's natural that for all of us to think that, oh, he's just going to go in and just try to wrestle Masvidal and just put him to the ground and beat him up. Because uh, it was it was a while back, to be honest. Someone posted a video on YouTube, and it was Colby Covington just totally out wrestling Jorge Masvidal, right? And you can tell that Covington has the wrestling advantage. But since Covington's first fight against Kamaru Usman, mate, his striking has just improved a lot. And I think that if he stands with Masvidal without actually wrestling the guy, I think there's a potential. I'm not saying that Covington could knock him out, but there's a potential that Colby Covington might actually be a better striker. And that's just a personal opinion, to be honest.
Ooh.
But again, since he has the wrestling credentials or the wrestling advantage, and he's a D1 All American wrestler, I think from that perspective as well, I think Chaos Colby Covington, well, he has all the tools, to be honest. Overall, I think he's the favorite, and it makes sense that he's the favorite because of all the the weapons he has. Whereas Masvidal is very predictable. You know what I mean? He's got a really decent body kick. That's about it, really. And what else? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my perspective.
He can throw hands. He can throw hands. He's got a
Well, he
mean right
can. We saw
hook.
against mean right hook. I've never seen a mean right hook from Masvidal. Anyways, but I mean, his performance against Nate Diaz definitely does substantiate someone's argument who believes that he's a good striker. I've never said that he's not a good striker necessarily, but I think what we see from Colby Covington, I mean, Kamaru Usman even said it. He said that Colby Covington, apart from himself, obviously he's the champion and he's at the top. He's defended his title 5 times, right? Twice against Colby Covington, twice against Masvidal, and once against Gilbert Burns. He's at the top of the fucking division, right? But he mentioned that Colby Covington is literally just right behind him, and no one else comes close, to be honest. And if that comes from the champion himself, the reigning, defending undisputed welterweight champion, I mean, He's right. Colby Covington is the guy, and I see no way that Masvidal can beat Covington. Like he just can't. I mean, he can knock him out. That's possible, but mate, honestly, I think it's just going to be a landslide. If it goes to the
Hey, yeah,
judges,
everyone's
guaranteed that Colby
everyone's got to
Covington's
punch
going
his
to win.
chance. Everyone's got to punch his chance.
Well,
And
that's
like I said, depends.
yeah. You know
If
what?
he's hungry, if he reacts well, look, he got knocked out quite a while ago by Usman. Was it? It's almost a year now, since that knockout, and he's had a lot of
He was
time to
out.
think about it, a lot of time to recover, a lot of time to retrain and refocus. If he refocuses and if he's really, really hungry and he's really determined and Covington's got under his skin and he gives him a real fire under his belly, then you never know. You never know. But obviously, the all likelihood is they start striking, they connect with each other a little bit. It's going on the feet, and then all of a sudden, Covington goes for the takedown, bang, ground and pound. Probably does that for a couple rounds, and then eventually maybe finishes the fight. That's probably the most likely outcome. But hey, imagine Jorge Masvidal goes in there and submits him now. uh, but
I
no,
mean, that's possible to be honest. Who knows? But do you reckon we'll see a replica or replication of what happens between the Game Bread and Ben Askren? Like that flying knee they threw just before the start of the fight. Remember that?
yes, I don't think
You know,
he
you know the
actually
jump
tried that twice. So he did that against Askren, and then he tried it against Nate Diaz. So what it is obviously
Nate Diaz.
they'd run in together. They'd run in together initially to obviously engage, but he takes a little step to the left,
Mm,
which allows him to open up the angle to just jump in and hit him with the flying knee. And he tried that again against
yeah.
Diaz, but Diaz was switched onto it and moved. So whether Covington would fall into that trap, I highly, highly doubt it. He'll probably go for it, Masvidal, because why not? There's nothing to lose. But I don't think
Essentially,
Covington
yeah.
will fall into.
It's just one of those fights, to be honest, that rarely would you see two former best pals. By the way, Masvidal has once been in Covington's corner, and Covington has once been in Masvidal's corner. So it's very unlikely for us UFC fans to see two people who once were best mates now like sort of like arch nemesis or arch rivals and actually fighting as well, dude. I never thought this fight. Well, I knew that there was a possibility that it could happen, but I thought, you know what? There was a time I actually thought maybe the beef was fake. It was all made up and that, but it's not. The fight's fucking happening. Two best mates, Covington and Masvidal, ladies and gentlemen. So, to you lot watching right now, I just want your opinion down in the comment sections. Who do you think is going to win? Do you think Colby Chaos Covington is rightfully the favorite going into the fight? And if you think so, why? Or if you think Masvidal is the favorite as well, tell me why. And honestly, I really appreciate you lot taking the time, obviously watching this particular video. It means a lot, to be honest. It means a lot to me. And I appreciate my mate James Toon for obviously taking the time and obviously talking about this means
Hey
a
man,
lot, to be honest. So
it's
James, you want
uh,
to say something to the audience?
it's an absolute pleasure. I'm always happy to be here. Love talking about the sport. Love talking to you, my brother. And I want to see some ones down in that comment section down below. If you think Masvidal's gonna baptize this fool, hombre. Yeah. But anyway, as he
Yeah.
said, I mean, well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you do want to see a little bit more of me, of course, JT Live is where you're going to find me. And stay tuned for TNN Sports, the brand new podcast coming to screens near you, baby. We got Toon. We've got. This is where you
Ibrahima
say your
from
surname.
Gambia, your favorite Gambian
We've got
guy.
Toon. We've got a Brimer. We've got it all in the TNN podcast, baby, coming to screens near you. But let us put your comments down in the comment section down below of who you think's gonna win, how you think the fight's gonna go, baby. And I want to see a 1 for Jorge Masvidal and a 2 if you think Colby Covington is going to submit him. But back to you, Brimer.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you lot taking the time. And you can see he's a bit of a character, to be honest. But yeah, honestly, he's a legend. Very knowledgeable when it comes to the fight game. So yeah, what a total legend, ladies and gentlemen. So make
One
sure to
way of calling
smash
me
the like button
crazy.
down below. But then,
One way of
uh,
calling me crazy.
crazy. Well, you're a little bit crazy to be honest, and fucking confident as well. I mean, the things that you do, especially standing in front of that class
Ugh.
and doing the presentation, and that fuck, I can't do that.
Stop it, you
Anyways, yeah, but
flirt.
just smash the like button down below, comment, and subscribe if your notification bell's turned on, because this is gonna be the best fighting YouTube channel about boxing and MMA ever. So like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, have yourselves a fantastic day.